4 years back, Redmi released arguably the best value for money flagship ever in the Redmi K20 Pro, and it feels like ever since they've just been playing catch up. This is the new Redmi K70 Pro, and in today's video, let's unbox it and see if over 4 years since the K20 Pro, let's see if Redmi's finally managed to put together a better value flagship. Hey guys, my name's Ash, you're watching C4eTech. If you appreciate the effort I've put into this video, please drop a like and subscribe. This is the box the K70 Pro comes in. We've got the RAM storage mentioned up top. This is the 16512. There's also a HyperOS sticker, Redmi K70 branding, more Redmi branding. Let me grab a tiny blade to cut through the plastic. Now opening up the box, we are greeted by this black insert. This contains a SIM ejector tool alongside your quick start guide. And then there's also this new black case that Redmi seems to be offering these days. These replace the standard transparent cases that we've been seeing like forever. And now
it's time for the main event.
This is the new Redmi K70 Pro. I ended up ordering the black colorway this time. Now usually I avoid black because it's too muted for my liking, doesn't look good on camera. But Redmi's made things interesting this time. We'll talk about the build in just a bit. Now as the K70 Pro boots up, let's wrap up the unboxing part. We have a USB Type-A to Type-C cable with orange accents, followed by this 120 watt hypercharge adapter. Now using this charger, the K70 Pro, just like the Xiaomi 14 Pro, it's supposed to go from 0 to 100 in 18 minutes, despite having a slightly higher capacity battery, 5000 mAh. Now while that is awesome and all, wireless charging support that we saw on this phone's predecessor, the K60 Pro, sadly that's been cut. Now on the flip side, the frame is now metal instead of plastic. Anyway, let me walk you through the placements. We have the power and volume keys to the right, the secondary mic and IR blaster sit up top, there's nothing but antenna bands to the left, and finally there's the SIM tray, primary mic and speaker with the Type-C port in between located at the bottom. Sadly, this is still USB 2.0, unlike with the Xiaomi 14 series. Now if you look closely at this back, you'll notice that the edges on all four sides, they curve. This isn't too drastic, but it does have a positive effect on ergonomics. The camera array also kinda curves at the edges. This one though is purely for cosmetic purposes. Redmi's gone for glass here around the cameras, and there's like the glossy metal sides, it's a fingerprint magnet. The back itself though is totally resistant to fingerprints and smudges. This is frosted glass with a slight texture. I really love what Redmi's done with the design here. It gives you a look of rocks casting shadows. That's probably the best way I can describe it. I like it. Now if you want something more outlandish, Redmi does offer special Lamborghini green and yellow editions that look absolutely sick. These were not on sale when I was placing my order, else I would have definitely picked up that yellow. Now barring these, you also get your regular white and green options. Anyways, with respect to build, I'd have to say Redmi's done a good job here. The K70 Pro feels solid. If you look at the numbers, it's a tad narrower than its predecessor, and despite the switch to metal for the sides, the weight hasn't gone up substantially either. You know what's lighter than the K70 Pro? The RG35XX Plus from video sponsor Anbernic. This $58 handheld is an update on the hugely popular Anbernic RG35XX. I love how compact the 35XX Plus is. To be precise, it's about 11.7 centimeters tall and 8.1 centimeters wide. Very easy to hold, very easy to fit into a jean pocket. Now this one also has a 3.5-inch IPS panel, but comes with improved internals, built-in Wi-Fi, and a higher capacity 3300 mAh battery, which should last you for about 7+ hours of continuous gameplay. Anbernic offers the 35XX Plus in two other colors apart from this retro grey that you're seeing here. There's a white and a nice transparent black. And the 35XX Plus can emulate a whole host of retro game systems. To know more about the Anbernic RG35XX Plus, check out the link in the description below. Okay, let's now get back to the Redmi K70 Pro. We saw the back, now it's time for us to look at the front. Redmi stuck to their favorite 6.67 inches here too, but like I said earlier, the screen has gotten narrower. How? This is still a flat panel after all. How Redmi's done this is by shaving off the bezels. The sides and the top, they're almost the same thickness, while the chin is a little thicker, but it still doesn't look too bad. The display here, it's a Quad HD Plus OLED panel with a 120Hz refresh. It's from a domestic manufacturer, China Star, that Xiaomi's worked with in the past. It doesn't seem to have LTPO, but barring that, it looks to be a good panel. Xiaomi claims a brightness peak of 4000 nits. I mean, honestly guys, these days the marketing, it's getting more and more outrageous. So I went ahead and tested it myself. Realistically, this panel can do about a 500 nit max under manual mode, 700-ish nits with the sunlight mode, and 1000 nits-ish under auto mode, which is excellent. You should have no issues using this display outdoors under direct sunlight. There's also 3840Hz high frequency PWM dimming and 480Hz touch response. Like I said, it's a pretty good panel. While there is no secondary speaker, the earpiece does pull double duty to provide stereo output, and the quality, it's not the best, but it's quite good. Yeah, have a listen. Now, one thing I'm not a fan of is the placement of this fingerprint scanner. I feel it is way too low, like you constantly need to maneuver the phone. Now, the scanner itself, it's quite fast and accurate, and so is face unlock via that 16 megapixel selfie camera. Now, the selfies, they turned out good. Skin tones seem natural, there's no over sharpening, no weird HDR issues. Even the portrait mode seemed to be done well, with edge detection being on point. And we are back to 1080-60 via the selfie camera. It feels very odd to me. I honestly don't think 4K selfies is a premium feature that needs to be removed off a Redmi phone, one that has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 nonetheless. What do you think? How does this footage look? Let me know in the comments. Talking about the chip, yes, this phone is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 SoC. This is the cheapest phone with the 8 Gen 3 right now. Qualcomm's flagship chip is paired here with up to 24 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM, a terabyte of fast UFS 4.0 storage, and remember how neither the Xiaomi 14 nor the Xiaomi 14 Pro could even get through the 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme stress test? The app ended up crashing. Not only did the Redmi K70 Pro make it through the test, but it made it through with the best stability score I've seen on an 8 Gen 3 yet. So at the end of 20 minutes of continuous pushing, you're gonna end up with the performance of an 8 Gen 2, which is not all that bad, especially on something like the K70 Pro, which is not really a gaming device. Now, with gaming, the games that I tried running, they ran pretty well, and the game turbo options allow for things like upscaling, which I will have to test in detail later. The software here, it's pretty much what we saw with the Xiaomi 14 and the 14 Pro. HyperOS built on top of Android 14, everything feels snappy, fast and fluid. HyperOS doesn't drastically change anything visually, it's more of how the software is developed by Xiaomi, the backend stuff that's actually changed here. And it seems to be coming along quite nicely. Moving on to optics, we have a triple camera setup. The primary here is the Light Fusion 800, a 50 megapixel 1x55 inch sensor that's paired with a f1.6 lens that's optically stabilized. It seems to do a pretty good job with stills. Like see here, the detail on this leaf, the natural blurring of that background, it's all good. The dynamic range is probably where you're gonna notice that this is not a flagship. Now it's not bad, but it could have been a little better. Now the secondary is a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and the colors are not perfectly matched between these sensors. That said, it seems to do a decent job. The third sensor, unlike with the K60 Pro, is not a useless macro. Instead, we get a proper 50 megapixel 2x telephoto meant for portraits. Of course, you can shoot portraits with the primary as well if you want to. With video, it's the same as last time, maxes out at 8K 24, and the footage was fine, but weirdly at 4K 60, I noticed some focus hunting or EIS jitter that made the footage almost unusable. I hope this is something Redmi can address in a future update. Now finally, let's talk pricing. The Redmi K70 Pro starts at 3299 yuan, which happens to be the same starting price for the K60 Pro earlier this year. Now, given both phones are launching in the same year, I'm super happy that the price hasn't gone up. But what has gone up is the base RAM storage. It's now 12256 instead of 8128. Other positives include the sides being metal instead of plastic and getting a proper 2x portrait camera instead of that useless macro shooter. Of course, in the process, we did lose wireless charging, but given pretty much every other 8 Gen 3 we've seen so far has been priced much higher, and the ones expected soon going by rumors aren't expected to undercut the K70 Pro either, this phone, it seems like a good deal. Now to answer my earlier question, is it as good a value as the K20 Pro? I'm still gonna have to say no. But the K70 Pro, it feels like the closest Redmi's gotten to that value standpoint in over 4 years, and that, to us consumers, is pretty darn awesome. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.